Hello, it's Miss Sparks here. This is the narrative speech, so I'm going to go ahead and begin. It was January 16th, 2019. I had just lost my grandpa 4 days prior and gotten into a car wreck while finding out he had passed away. I never would have imagined 4 days later I would have lost my mom at the age of 19. Everyone in my family was at home for Christmas break still, and then, the passing of my grandpa had given everyone in my family time to stay together a little while longer. My mom had been sick and in the hospital on the day her dad passed away, and the family wasn't going to tell my mom her dad passed away because we didn't want her health to take a toll from it. However, we told her because she needed to know. All while this was happening, I was put in charge of kind of keeping a level head on things because I had to speak on behalf of my grandpa the day of his funeral services and help my grandma, who was in no place to make any financial decisions. So to dive in from the start of January 16, 2019, from the top, my family was under a lot of stress. At this point, everyone was in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and there are 12 of my family members all cooped up along with church family bringing in food and everyone coming in and out. Well, I was a mess because on January 15th, 3:30 a.m., I got a call saying, "We don't think your mom is going to make it. You and whoever you think needs to say goodbye should come to the hospital immediately." Well, at this point, all the kids under 17 are asleep, so it's my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, and myself all awake talking, and my grandma and uncle had taken a muscle relaxer to go to bed, and I drove the 3 of us about 2 hours away to the hospital in which my mom was in. My mom and I are best friends. We never left each other's sides. I took care of her, she took care of me. So you can imagine I'm her oldest child out of 8. I wanted to be at peace with my mom. However, my grandma, my uncle, and my stepdad were all back there while I was still in the lobby crying and trying to process how I can imagine my life without my best friend, my mom. Did this for about an hour or longer, or until my family came out because they got hungry, and I thought, okay, Gina, it's now or never. Go back and see your mama. Well, in order to get my mom's ER room, you had to wear a mask, gloves, and a gown. This was to protect myself because my mom had MRSA in the bloodstream. She also had liver failure, which in turn caused her to develop jaundice, yellow of the skin. She had open heart surgery 6 months prior to this due to a disease called endocarditis, along with hepatitis C. My mom was maxed out on all of the antibiotics they could give her, so she was induced into a coma before my family arrived. I said my piece, and we left and headed back home. I was stressed to the max, so my grandma let me go with a friend on a drive and to go get some dinner. I came home at about 10:25 p.m. I got home, walked down the drive, and called to check on my mom, and my stepdad and I were talking when the beeping started blaring in the phone, and he said I have to go, and that's when I knew my mom passed away on January 16, 2019 at 10:30 p.m. When I hung up the phone, all I could say was, "Mom's dead," and I proceeded to bawl my eyes out. My grandma dropped to the floor and I cried. I went outside and called my dad, who lived here in Georgia, and he got on the first flight that morning to come help me get through what ended up changing my life forever. To be completely honest, that week was really a blur. I only remember certain things. One of the last memories I have was seeing my mom laying on a metal table in the funeral home because my grandma wanted to make sure and to cry alone before the funeral, and I was my grandma's rock. I wrote my mom's eulogy, which no one should have to write their parents' eulogy. All in the process, my family was dealing with burying my grandpa along with myself in a neck brace because of the car accident. I remember all I did was talk business and money, setting up the behind the scenes of the funeral in order for my mom to be at rest. That is when I realized I had officially become an adult, making all these decisions. It had me questioning and thinking about all the things that will happen in my life, and I won't be able to call my mom to ask her for help or to get her opinion on things. Like my wedding. Oh my goodness, my wedding was on my mind heavy. I wasn't getting married or anything. It was just something my mom and I had talked about. As far as planning went, all while I was planning, I had to think about the 7 other children, all younger than myself, that my mom had left behind. It was now my job to make sure they were emotionally okay and mentally okay in order to get through what was happening for them. Luckily, they had my little cousin to lean on playing games with to keep them distraction. My brother, who's a year younger than me, I don't think I talked to him much when this happened because him and my older cousin, who were 10 days apart, kept their minds busy with cleaning and renewing our grandparents' house, who had passed 3 years prior, but it kept my brother busy. I myself didn't have an outlet. I had dropped out of high school the last semester of my senior year to take care of my mom because she was sick. Well, a year later, I finally decided to go back and finish the classes I needed, and my mom was there when I made the choice to go back, but she didn't get to see me graduate at the top of my class and wasn't there for me to speak in front of 1,500 people and be in our town's newspaper. However, when she passed, it was my first week of classes and I couldn't focus. All I wanted to do was make sure everyone in my family was okay. But finally, it hit me. Gina, this is the last thing your mom knew. You started. You have to finish. So that's what I did. Within the week that my life was the craziest it's been, I still went to school and did my work along with slowly figuring out how to be an adult. And that's when I knew I was role modeling school for my siblings. It also hit me that they will be watching what I accomplished in hopes to do the same. Meanwhile, while my life was upside down, I also made a major choice to get on a plane and move 9